Over 2,500 years ago, while in exile, prophet Daniel received a vision from God that foretold the fate of humanity from 444 BC to the final year, 2042. Welcome to a brand new interpretation of Daniel's 70-week prophecy in the Bible using mathematical equations and historical records to prove the accuracy of the prophecy and its fulfillments. This new discovery will probably change the traditional end-time eschatology, especially the 7-year tribulation theory. The information in this video came from the book, Final Years of Civilization, written by Elbib Newton in 2022. To understand this prophecy, we must first travel to ancient Babylon. Daniel, a young Jew, was taken captive to Babylon with many others during the Babylonian exile. There, Daniel became a wise counselor and received divine revelations. In the book of Daniel, chapter 9, we found Daniel's earnest prayer for the restoration of Jerusalem. In response, Angel Gabriel came and revealed to him a vision about the future of his people, their Messiah, and their holy temple. The prophecy of the 70 prophetic weeks is a combination of 70 sets of time, called sevens or heptads. It is a coded message covering our history from the restoration of Jerusalem's temple in 444 BC to the establishment of God's everlasting kingdom on earth in 2042. Throughout this journey, we will find 7 predicted events. All perfectly came true as predicted by the equations, except the last one, the return of the Messiah to usher in his everlasting kingdom on earth. There are 6 equations to calculate and pinpoint 2042 as the final year. In the next sections, we will break down this prophecy, uncover its meaning and the mysteries it holds regarding the past, present, and future. Join us as we unravel the Bible's deepest mystery of God, the Messiah. How he took on human likeness and redeemed us from evil and death, and ultimately teaches us a lesson on how to love God and each other as a family as he intended before he created us. According to Daniel 12 verse 9, the mystery of the 70-week prophecy will be revealed at the appointed time or the appointed year. Today, 2022 is the appointed year for the mystery to be revealed. This is a brand new way to view the prophecy as it progressed from 444 BC to 2042. It is all about the Messiah, Jesus Christ, and his holy temple, Jerusalem. As written in Daniel 7 verse 13 and 14, the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven. There was given to him dominion and glory in a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. His first coming was to redeem humanity from sin in 33 AD, as precisely calculated using the first 69 short heptads of 476 actual years. His second coming is to destroy evil permanently and bring in everlasting righteousness to humanity in 2042 as precisely calculated using the last one long heptad of 2,485 actual years, from 444 BC to 2042. The mathematical expressions are so beautiful and captivating. They are seamlessly woven into other prophetic numbers like 476 years, 1,150 years, 1,260 years, 1,290 years, 1,335 years, and 2,485 years, written in Daniel and Revelation as God's master equation. These numbers are prophetic days, which represent the number of years in the prophecy, and a day means a year. These numbers interlink perfectly to each other, from event to event, as an unbroken circle of chains. The entire prophecy will crash if one of the numbers is proven wrong or unmatched with historical records for that year or event. Only God can create these kinds of mathematical relationships among the equations with precise historical records to prove them. This is his numerical message to the smartest and last generations who distrust the Bible, and only want scientific proofs. It is important to notice that the numbers don't lie. Before reading the Bible texts regarding Daniel's 70-week prophecy, let's first examine the original biblical word heptad, or group of 7. The original Hebrew word is shabuah. Shabuah means 7 or heptad. When Jews use this term to refer to time, they use it as a week of days or a week of years. Therefore, a heptad could be 7 days, or 7 years. In other words, some of the sevens could be 7 days each, and some of the sevens could be 7 years each. For Daniel's 70 heptad prophecy to match perfectly with historical records, the 70 heptads must be a combination of 69 short heptads plus 1 long heptad. The first 69 heptads are short ones with 7 prophetic days each, totaling 483 prophetic days, and equivalent to 483 biblical years. The last heptad is a 1 long heptad of 7 prophetic years, totaling 2,520 prophetic days, and equivalent to 2,520 biblical years. Now, what we would see is the NIV version of Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 to 27. Words in parentheses are add-on explanations. The italic words are biblical words. Verse 24, 70 sevens,
or 70 heptads, or 69 short ones plus 1 long one,
are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish the transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place,
which is Jerusalem's temple where God will be with man forever.
Verse 25, know and understand this, from the time the word goes out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the Anointed One,
which is Jesus the Messiah,
the ruler, comes, there will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens,
or 69 short heptads.
It will be rebuilt with streets and a trench but in times of trouble. Verse 26, after the 62 sevens,
or after 69 short heptads including the early 7 heptads in verse 25 above,
the Anointed One,
or Jesus the Messiah,
be put to death,
in 33 AD,
and will have nothing. The people of the ruler,
which is the Roman and Islamic empires,
come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come like a flood, war will continue until the end, and desolations have been decreed.
Note that the word desolations in the plural form means the desolation of the land caused by Rome in 70 AD, and the desolation of the Jerusalem temple caused by the Al-Aqsa Mosque in 707 AD, which is the sacrilegious object that caused desolation of the Holy Temple, spoken by both Jesus and Daniel.
Verse 27, he will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7.
Or 1 long heptad of 7 prophetic years, or 2,485 actual years.
In the middle of the 7,
or the 2,485-year-long heptad,
he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. And at the temple, he will set up an abomination,
or a pagan temple on God's holy site in 707 AD,
causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him.
The desolator in 2042 AD.
The 70 heptads give us 2 sets of equations. First, the first 69 short heptads have 483 biblical years, and equivalent to 476 solar years. It allows us to determine the duration of the first coming of Jesus as the Messiah and pinpoint the exact calendar year in which Jesus died, which is 33 AD. Secondly, the final 1 long heptad has 2,520 biblical years and equivalent to 2,485 solar years. It allows us to determine the duration of the entire prophecy, and pinpoints the exact calendar year for the second coming of the Messiah, which is 2042. Besides the long heptads, there are other equations to calculate for the year 2042 as we unravel the mystery of the prophecy. Note that Jesus said, "You don't know the day or the hour, not the year," because Daniel provided the calculations for the year. The calculations for the duration of the 2 sets of heptads above are very simple, by using the conversion factors that the books of Daniel and Revelation provided. 1 prophetic day equals 1 biblical year. 1 biblical year equals 360 days. 1 solar year or 1 actual year equals 365 days. Therefore, 483 biblical years, times 360, and dividing by 365, equal 476 actual years. Which is the time duration from 444 BC to the year 33 when Jesus died on the cross. Similarly, 2,520 biblical years, times 360, and dividing by 365, equal 2,485 actual years. Which is the time duration from 444 BC to the year 2042 when Jesus will return to earth. During this 2,485-year length of the prophecy, Daniel also gave us multiple equations for other historical events, with precise durations for these events in numbers of actual years, such as 1150, 1260, 1290, and 1,335 years. From these numbers, we can derive other extra events to compose Daniel's eschatology perfectly from 444 BC to 2042 with precisions and historical records as the Bible prescribed. In other words, the 70 heptads and the 7 appointed events in Daniel interlink each other through mathematical expressions. If just one of these events happens in the wrong year, the whole prophecy will crash. Daniel gave us a set of 6 equations with 6 unknown variables, such as A, B, C, D, E, and F, which represent the calendar year for the 6 historical events occurring throughout the entire duration of the prophecy. He also gave us a master equation, equation G, which represents the duration of the prophecy in the number of actual years. As discussed early, besides the master equation, Daniel also gave us the one long heptad of 2,485 years for the verification of equation G, which is the entire duration of the prophecy from 444 BC to 2042. For the equation to work, each variable must have only one correct answer, which is the exact calendar year calculated for that event to occur exactly in history as predicted and proven by historical records. Let's assign 6 unknown variables from A to F, corresponding to the 6 unknown calendar years in their chronological orders from start to end, and the variable G, corresponding to the length of the prophecy in actual number of years. Variable A, the year King Artaxerxes decreed to rebuild Jerusalem and restore the temple services recorded in Nehemiah 2 verses 1-9, in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes. This event occurred in 444 BC as recorded in history. Variable B, the year of the first coming of Jesus as a sacrificial Lamb of God to redeem humanity from sin in 33 AD. Thus, B equals 33, and 33 is also Jesus' age at the time of crucifixion, as recorded in the Bible. Humanity gave him a brand new modern calendar based on his birthday, 1/1/1 AD. Therefore, all historical events must be adjusted to Jesus' calendar BC/AD. Any event that happened before 1 AD must be adjusted and dated as BC or before Christ, and any event that happened after Christ must be dated as AD or after Christ. His calendar has no 0 years in between 1 BC and 1 AD. Therefore, remember to take into account the missing 0 year when you do the math. Variable C, the year of the abomination set up, or the year a sacrilegious object was erected on God's holy temple site. This is the Al-Aqsa Mosque that Islam erected in 707 AD to worship Allah as recorded in history. Note that the Dome of the Rock is just a shrine, not a temple. Variable D, the year Israel recaptured the Jerusalem temple and the entire Jerusalem city after 2,000 years in exile. This event occurred in 1967 during the Six-Day War with the Arab Muslims as recorded in recent history. Variable E, the year Israel traded the last piece of land, the city of Hebron, to their enemy for peace and recognition, but peace and recognition never came, only wars and terrors until the end. This event happened in 1997 as recorded in recent history. Variable F, the year Jesus Christ will return to earth as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. This year will be calculated by Daniel's equations as the year 2042. Variable G, the number of years represents the duration of the entire prophecy, and it will be determined by Daniel's master equation to reconfirm that the duration of the prophecy is exactly 2,485 years, as calculated early by the 70th heptad. Below is a preview of the master equation to be formulated from the above variables and Daniel's constants. Note that on the time chart, we put the historical calendar years on the top header and the calculated calendar years to be determined by the equations at the bottom of the chart, just to help you to preview the timelines of the events in their chronological orders. The next step, we will derive a set of 7 equations with 7 unknown variables to predict the exact calendar years for each of the events to happen one by one, as history has revealed and confirmed. Therefore, pretend not to see the calendar years written on the time chart on the historical records header row, but concentrate on Daniel's constant numbers, such as 476, 1150, 1260, 1290 and 1335, and see how we will bring out the equations based on these constants. These constants are the numbers of actual years allotted by Daniel for the durations of each of the events mentioned above. 476 years. This number is the 476-year period from the start of the prophecy in 444 BC,
represented by variable A,
all the way to the time Jesus died on the cross in 33 AD,
represented by variable B.
This 476-year period came from Daniel chapter 9 verse 25, as the 69 short heptads as calculated earlier. As a result, there are
476 years from event A to event B,
as expressed in the equation number 1 below. Equation number 1, B minus A, minus 1 is equal to 476.
The number minus 1 is for the deduction of the non-zero year between BC and AD.
1,150 years, the number 1,150 years came from 1150 days. 1,150 days came from 2,300 times of morning and evening sacrifices, twice a day per Moses' law, one in the morning and one in the evening as mentioned in Daniel chapter 8 verses 14 and 26. Then I heard a Holy One speaking, and another Holy One said to the speaker, "How long will the events of the vision,
the rebuilding and desecration period,
last, this vision concerning the regular offering and the transgression which is so appalling, that allows the sanctuary and the army host to be trampled underfoot?"
to the moment the abomination is set up?
The first said to me, 2,300 evenings and mornings.
2,300 divided by 2 is equal to 1,150 days.
Thus, 2,300 divided by 2 is equal to 1,150 days total. 1,150 days are actually 1,150 years from the decree to rebuild Jerusalem in 444 BC,
indicated by variable A,
all the ways to the time the abomination set up or the abomination caused desolation, in 707 AD.
represented by variable C.
The abomination set up is the sacrilegious object or the Al-Aqsa Mosque that Islam erected on God's holy temple site in the 707 AD,
indicated by variable C.
As a result, there are
1,150 years from event A to event C,
as expressed in the equation number 2 below. Equation number 2, C minus A, minus 1 is equal to 1,150.
The number minus 1 is for the deduction of the non-zero year between BC and AD.
1,260 years. The number 1,260 years came from the expressions of 1,260 days, or 42 months or 3.5 years, or 1 time plus 2 times plus half time, as described in both Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 and chapter 12 verse 7, and Revelation chapter 11 verse 2, chapter 12 verse 6 and 14. How long will it be until these shocking events are over? The man dressed in linen, who was standing above the river, raised both his hands toward heaven and took a solemn oath by the one who lives forever, saying, "It will go on for a time, times, and half a time."
3.5 prophetic years or 1,260 days.
When the shattering of the holy people has finally come to an end,
or the Jews broke free from oppression and recaptured its own temple in 1967.
all these things will have happened. Revelation chapter 11 verse 2, "But leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months.
42 months multiplied by 30 days divided by 1 month, equals 1,260 days.
1,260 days represents 1,260 years from the abomination caused desolation, in 707 AD,
indicated by variable C,
all the way to the time Israel took back control of the Jerusalem and its temple in 1967 AD during the Six-Day War,
indicated by variable D.
Jesus called this period the 1,260 years of Gentiles trampling Jerusalem and its temple, recorded in Luke chapter 21 verse 24. As a result, there are Equation number 3, D minus C, equals 1260.
No deduction for the 0 year since C and D are both positive in AD years.
1290 years. The number 1290 years comes from the 1290 days mentioned in Daniel chapter 12 verse 11. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that mocketh desolate set up,
in 707 AD,
there shall be 1290 days. 1290 days represents 1290 actual years from the abomination caused desolation in 707 AD,
represented by variable C,
all the way to the starting time of Jacob's trouble in
1997 AD, indicated by variable E.
1997 is the starting year of Jacob's trouble, since Israel gave the last piece of land, Hebron city, to its adversary in exchange for peace and recognition, but peace and recognition have never come, only trouble and wars until the end, as described in Jeremiah chapter 30 verses 1-7, and 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3. As a result, there are
1290 years
from event C to event E, as expressed in equation number 4 below. Equation number 4, E minus C, equals 1290. 1335 years. The number 1335 years came from the 1335 days mentioned in Daniel chapter 12 verses 11-12. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that mocketh desolate set up,
in 707 AD,
there shall be 1290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1335 days. 1335 days represent 1335 years from the abomination caused desolation in 707 AD,
indicated by variable C,
all the way to the end when Jesus returns to earth as King of Kings and Lord of Lords in 2042 AD,
indicated by variable F.
As a result, there are
1335 years
from event C to event F, as expressed in equation number 5 below. Equation number 5, F minus C, equals 1335. Assign G as length of the prophecy. G is the time duration of the prophecy in number of years, from start to end. Thus, the prophecy started in 444 BC,
indicated by variable A,
and end in 2042 AD,
indicated by variable F.
Therefore, G can be calculated by equation number 6 below. Equation number 6, F minus A, minus 1 equals G. Now, let's rewrite the above 6 equations as the followings. Equation number 1, B minus A, minus 1 is equal to 476, with A equals 33, the year Jesus was crucified, Daniel chapter 9 verse 24. Equation number 2, C minus A, minus 1 is equal to 1150. Equation number 3, D minus C, equals 1260. Equation number 4, E minus C, equals 1290. Equation number 5, F minus C, equals 1335. Equation number 6, F minus A, minus 1 equals G. Let's combine equations number 1 to number 6 by adding the equations together, right side separately, and left side separately. B minus A, plus, C minus A, plus, D minus C, plus, E minus C, plus, F minus C, plus, F minus A, minus 3 equals 476 plus 1150 plus 1260 plus 1290 plus 1335 plus G. Simplify the equation and solve for G, the duration of the prophecy, as shown below. Equation number 7, G is equal to minus 3A plus B minus 2C plus D plus E plus 2F minus 5514. Note that Daniel's constants, 476, 1150, 1260, 1290, 1335, and 2485, interlink all of the events together as the road map for the prophecy. As a result, the 7 equations interlock and connect all events together perfectly as a jigsaw puzzle. Therefore, by knowing only a calendar year in which a single event came true in history, such as B equals 33,
the year Jesus died on the cross,
or D equals 1967,
the year the Gentiles controlling Jerusalem ended.
one can calculate and predict the other appointed years for the other 6 events with absolute certainty using equations alone. If you want to solve the above equations using AI, you must pick a historical year such as B equals 33 AD and ask AI to solve the 7 equations as followed. Hi AI, please solve the equations below, using variable B equals 33, the year of Jesus' crucifixion. Then AI will solve the equations and give you the answers for the remaining 6 unknown variables. In the same way, if you want to solve the equations manually, you must replace one of the 6 variables, A, B, C, D, E, or F, with one of the corresponding calendar years in which the event came true, such as D equals 1967, or any other years that you wish to input first. Then manually solve for the remaining 6 variables. Regardless of any number you wish to input first, you will always come up with the exact same answers of A equals -444 or 444 BC, B equals 33, C equals 707, D equals 1967, E equals 1997, F equals 2042, and G equals 2485 years, since these appointed years and the length of the prophecy are connected to each other by the time constants described in the book of Daniel. These numbers are God's appointed years and durations for the 7 main events to happen during the course of the prophecy. As Daniel said, at the appointed time or year, each appointed event will happen in its own appointed year. If you start your calculations with any other year different from these appointed years, the prophecy will crash, since the answers will not agree or coincide with the historical records found for each of these specific events. No other numbers could replace these appointed years, as predicted over 2,500 years ago. Now let's go back to the time chart and input the calculated calendar years on the bottom header of the chart. Then compare the calculated years with the historical years recorded on top of the chart and see if they match perfectly from event to event. A equals -444, 444 BC. This year marks the decree by King Artaxerxes I to rebuild Jerusalem and restore the temple services, as recorded in Nehemiah chapter 2 verses 1-9. This is the final decree in a series of 4 that initiated the timeline of the prophecy, precisely calculated and confirmed by historical records for 444 BC. B equals 33, 33 AD. This year signifies the first coming of Jesus as a sacrificial lamb to redeem humanity from sin, as foretold in Daniel chapter 9 verse 25. The timing has been accurately calculated and is confirmed by historical records for 33 AD. There are 476 years from event A to event B. C equals 707, 707 AD. This year marks the beginning of the permanent desolation of Solomon's temple, triggered by the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the abomination that causes desolation, as mentioned in Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. This timing is precisely calculated and confirmed by historical records for 707 AD. There are 1,150 years from event A to event C. D equals 1967, 1967 AD. This year confirms Israel's recapture of Jerusalem and its temple site after 2,000 years in exile, marking the end of the time of the Gentiles controlling Jerusalem, as referenced in Daniel and Revelation. The calculations align exactly with historical records for 1967. There are 1,260 years from event C to event D. E equals 1997, 1997 AD. This is the year Israel traded of the last piece of ancestral land, Hebron City, to the Palestine Liberation Organization for peace and recognition. However, peace and recognition have never come, only ongoing conflict and wars, as mentioned in Daniel chapter 12 verse 11 and 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3. This timing is accurately calculated and confirmed by historical records for 1997. There are 1,290 years from event C to event E. F equals 2042, 2042 AD. This year discloses the end of the 70-week prophecy, coinciding with the return of Jesus Christ as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, as noted in Daniel chapter 12 verse 12. This has been precisely calculated based on the master equation and other previous equations in the book, Final Years of Civilization. There are 1,335 years from event C to event F. G equals 2,485, this figure represents the total 2,485 years of the prophecy, from 444 BC to 2042, as derived from the master equation and additional calculations in the book, Final Years of Civilization. To verify G, we can use the master equation below. G equals -3 multiply A plus B minus 2 multiply C plus D plus E plus 2 multiply F minus 5514. G equals -3 multiply, -444, plus 33 minus 2 multiply, 707, plus 1967 plus 1997 plus 2 multiply, 2042, minus 5,514 is equal to 2,485 or 2,485 years. This verification aligns with the previously calculated length of the prophecy derived from the long heptad of 7 prophetic years. Both calculations produced the same result of 2,485 years regarding the duration of the prophecy. In addition to these calculations, the duration of Daniel's prophecy can also be computed by summing the consecutive periods that make up the timeline from -444 to 2042. For example, G equals 1,150 plus 1,335 is equal to 2,485 years. G equals 1,150 plus 1,260 plus 75 is equal to 2,485 years. G equals 1,150 plus 1,290 plus 45 is equal to 2,485 years. G equals 2,520 biblical years multiply 360 divided by 365 is equal to 2,485 solar years. G equals 7 Islamic years multiply 355 days per Islamic year equals 2,485 days or 2,485 years. 1 day equals 1 year. Thus, 444 BC marks the exact year the prophecy began, and 2042 marks the exact year the prophecy will be end. These years are permanently fixed and unalterable. Therefore, the other remaining, appointed years, are also equally fixed by the equations, leaving no room for alternative interpretations. When plotted on a timeline, these equations create a comprehensive time chart. From this time chart, additional equations can be derived to calculate other historical events, such as 1948, when Israel became a nation, the theory of a 7,000-year cycle, the 75-year theory of Jesus' fig tree generation, the 45-year period of Jacob's trouble, the 49-year jubilee from 1948 to 1997, and the final decade of our current era. While the exact year for the rapture, the final judgment, or the day of the Lord, remain unknown. Note that the book of Daniel revealed the appointed year only, not the exact date and the hour, because Jesus stated, "No one knows the day or the hour." The Bible mentions that you know the time and the season, summer is near, possibly the year. From the decree to rebuild Jerusalem in 444 BC to the crucifixion of Jesus in 33 AD, the prophecy unfolds with divine precision of 476 years, calculated by the 69 short heptads and confirmed by historical records. Year 444 BC is supported by 6 calculations, corresponding to each of the 6 horizontal bar graphs beginning with 444 BC. 33 AD is the exact year of Jesus' crucifixion. Luke chapter 3 verse 23 gave the age of Jesus when he started his ministry, which is about 30 years old. The Gospels also mention that he attended 3 annual Passover holiday, and on the third one, he was killed as the Passover lamb, which indicates an age of 33, 30 plus 3 is equal to 33, as precisely calculated by the 69 short heptads. Note that humanity gave him a new calendar based on his birth year 1/1/1 AD, and all historical records must be adjusted to his calendar year, BC/AD, before any calculations take place. Therefore, it makes no difference in our calculations if Jesus was born 4 years or 40 years before 1 AD. From 444 BC to the establishment of the abomination in 707 AD, the prophecy spans 1,150 years, as foretold by Daniel and confirmed by equations and historical records. Year 707 is validated by 4 calculations, reflected in the 4-bar graph starting or ending with 707 AD. From the time Islam controlled the temple in 707 AD to Israel's recapture of the temple site in 1967, this period is exactly 1,260 years, as foretold by Daniel's equations and confirmed by historical records. Year 1967 has 3 calculations to substantiate this, represented by the 3-bar graph starting or ending with 1967. This duration also aligns with the period of the 2 witnesses, who prophesied for 1,260 years. Their identities, deaths, and the accompanying earthquake are detailed in the book Final Years of Civilization. Additionally, combining the 2 consecutive periods of 1,150 years and 1,260 years, yields 2,410 years from 444 BC to 1967, calculation, 444 plus, 1967 minus 1, equals 2,410. From 707 AD to 1997, the year Israel gave control of Hebron city to the PLO in exchange for peace and recognition. This duration lasts exactly 1,290 years, as calculated by the equations, and verified by historical records for this year. Year 1997 has 3 calculations to validate as shown by the 3-bar graphs, starting or ending with 1997. From 707 AD to the return of Jesus in 2042, this period will last 1,335 years, as foretold in Daniel chapter 12 verses 11 to 12 and calculated by the equations. Year 2042 has 6 calculations to support this, illustrated by 6-bar graphs. Overall length of the prophecy, the duration is 2,485 years from 444 BC to 2042, calculated using the 70th long heptad and other methods. The starting year, 444 BC, has 6 calculations to confirm. And the ending year, 2042, also has 6 calculations to confirm. Another approach to compute the total length of the prophecy is to combine the 2 consecutive periods of 1,150 years and 1,335 years together as one period. 1,150 years plus 1,335 years equals 2,485 years. Calculation, 444 plus, 2042 minus 1, equals 2485. From the recapture of the temple in 1967 to the final year, 2042, this period has 75 years, corresponding to the fig tree generation predicted by Jesus before died. Learn a lesson from the fig tree: when it blossoms, you know that summer is near, indicating the impending end. Matthew chapter 24 verse 34 states, "This generation will not pass away until all these things take place." In biblical terms, a generation is 75 years, Psalm chapter 9 verse 10. The days of our years are 70, or 80. Average age equals, 70 plus 80, /2 equals 75 years. And a fig tree symbolizes Israel, replanting in 1948 and blossoming in 1967, when it recaptured Jerusalem, the soul of the nation. Why Jesus mentioned, "Summer is near," instead of winter? Could he hint that global warming will come before his return, as suggested in Revelation chapter 16 verses 8 to 9? This 75-year generation, along with their children, may soon believe in Jesus Christ as the Messiah. They will enter the millennial kingdom in 2042 and build a new temple for the Lord. This mirrors Abram's journey at age 75, recorded in Genesis chapter 12 verses 1 to 8, when God called him into the promised land where he built the first altar to the Lord. The final 45-year period, this is the final chapter of prophecy, called the time of Jacob's trouble. Jacob is the former name of Israel, and this troubling period began in 1997 and will end in 2042. It includes the final judgment, Armageddon, the rapture and the return of Christ. Historical records indicate that in 1997, Israel yielded control of Hebron city, the last piece of its ancestral land, to the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, in exchange for peace and recognition, but none of those materialized, except conflicts and wars continuously. Hebron is the second holiest place in Israel after Jerusalem, a city rich in biblical history and also the burial place of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Interestingly, 1948 was a Jubilee year, the year Israel regained its land after 2,000 years in exile. 49 years later, came 1997, another Jubilee year. According to Mosaic law, Israel had the right to redeem its ancestral lands after 49 years. Tragically, Israel did the opposite and relinquished its control of Hebron to the PLO, seeking peace and recognition, but encountering ongoing problems and conflicts until the end in 2042. 1997 was also when the Kyoto Protocol was established to combat global warming. The earth is heating up, as noted in Revelation chapter 16 verses 8-9, where the sun scorches humanity. This year marks the beginning of the final 45 years of natural disasters and wars for all inhabitants of the earth. Today, we stand at the threshold of the ultimate revelation, the second coming of Christ in 2042. All calculations converge on this year, as demonstrated in the time chart. Historical records confirm 6 events occurred precisely as predicted, and the final one will come in 2042 as appointed. The probability of just 5 events aligning in the foretold years is a staggering 1 in 100,000 trillion, 1 over 10 to the 17th power. If even one event occurs in the wrong year, the entire prophecy fails. If you feel convinced, please read the Bible, especially the 4 Gospels. If you believe that Jesus is God incarnated in human form, invite him into your heart today. His Holy Spirit will transform you into a new person instantly, granting you eternal life and guiding your future on the right path. Seek a good church community to nurture your faith, and remember that there is little time left. The coming years will be very dreadful. Without Christ, you will not be able to survive. God offers humanity the power to change the future through repentance and faith. The earth suffers due to sin and evil. While nature may follow its course, climate changes, disasters, and wars, God can intervene if we choose to change first. He revealed future events to his prophets, yet sin will continue to flourish. However, there is a rescue plan for those who trust in him alone, Jesus, the Messiah. The Bible declares there is one eternal God, without beginning or end, who exists in both Father and Son, as one God in 2 realities. Please reconsider your destination and stop resisting God. Remember, he is not obligated to rescue those who do not seek him. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. We are producing more content about the book, so subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and sharing this discovery. You can download the free book at finalyearsofcivilization.com.